start. Okay, it started.
Getting the most out of your chick embryology project. Chick Embryology Project is an exciting program, and we want to give you some hints on how you can get the most out of that project from things that we've experienced over the years. One of the things that's amazing in nature is you can take that content of the egg and the shell and add heat and oxygen, and in 21 days, you will have a chick. I think that's one of the more exciting experiences in nature, to turn that stuff on the left side of the slide by just adding heat and oxygen, and 20 days later, you have a new individual. That's one of the reasons I became a poultry scientist, was the excitement of being able to do that. How do you transfer that excitement to the participants in the project? How do you keep that excitement that you feel for the project and get the participants in the project excited as well? What can you do to transfer your enthusiasm to those that take part in the project? The first thing we got to understand is, what goals do we have for chick embryology? Are we going to use it for a hatching display at, say, a county fair? Are we going to use it as part of a field day? Or more importantly, where does it fit into the classroom? As we bring the chick incubation project into the classroom, where does it fit? It easily fits in the life cycle. It fits in the STEM programs, and it fits in the traditional agriculture programs. So how we maximize the impact will depend on where it is. What is the goal of having it at a hatching display in a county fair? What's the goal of trying to have it at a field day? What are our goals when we have it in the classroom? We also need to know what our audience is. Is it the general public, which may be the case when we do a hatching display at a fair or do a field day? Or we could be using it as a audience of high school students or middle school students or elementary school students or preschool students. Each audience brings certain expectations, and each audience has a specific level of enthusiasm. So how we gear our project to those audiences to meet their expectations, and also to ensure that their level of enthusiasm increases. So what we do depends on what our audience is. What makes a successful chick embryology project? This is something you have to ask yourself. What would be success? What does success mean when we do one of these projects? Is it to teach new things? Is it to have a successful hatch? Is it to bring awareness to a new group of students, or a new group of people in the general public? What in your mind makes a successful chick embryology project? From the student standpoint, a successful chick embryology project is giving them a new experience, that they can experience something new. They want those experiences to be outside the traditional teaching methods. Students want to be amazed by nature, and they want to see nature in a live situation. They are not happy watching a YouTube video or a TV show about nature. Sometimes they want to be amazed by nature in a live situation. Students want to be involved. They want to be part of what they're envisioning or experiencing. They don't want to just be an observer. They want to be involvement. They want involvement in the project. They also, as we go through the development of the chick, they want to know what's happening inside the egg on a daily basis. They want to experience that through either pictures or candling or some type of activity. They also want things to be related to their life experiences. So if we're hatching chicks, is there something about their grandfather having a farm, or they saw wild ducks with ducklings, or they seen a robin hatching eggs near their house? They want to relate to their own life experiences. And they want it to fit into their attention span. One of the things I've experienced over the years is the attention span of students is getting shorter, and they want something that fits within that attention span. If we're going to do things that take multiple weeks of activities, we need new activities and benchmarks along the ways to keep their attention and to keep their within their attention span. What makes a successful chick embryology project for teachers? One is that the lessons are self-contained. Teachers are very busy people. They have a lot of demands placed on their time. If they're going to use a lesson, they want all of it together. They don't want to have to look at other resources or get a whole host of resources from different sites. They want it to be self-contained. They also want the project to fit within their curriculum, where they have to teach a curriculum, and they want to know how that project fits into their curriculum. So a successful project fits into the curriculum that they're required to teach. They also are making room in their schedule for the chick embryology project, and they want it to be more enjoyable than the thing they're replacing. Something has to come out of their curriculum or their activities in order for the chick embryology project to fit within it. So it needs to be more enjoyable than the thing it replaces. Again, one of the things as time management, they want minimum maintenance. They want to be able to conduct something and have minimum responsibility to maintain a system. They will monitor something, but they don't want something that requires large amounts of their time. They also want high levels of success, particularly about hatching. They want the kids to experience hatching of a baby chick, and they want to see it. And they hope to have a high level of success when they do that. They also need support. To be successful, they like to have support. They want to be able to reach out to you when there's problems, when there's questions. They want to be able to contact you through email or texting or whatever method you prefer. They also want the students to have hands-on experiences. So we have to build activities that are hands-on as well for a successful program. And then the other thing is they want a program that reaches across all subject matters. The chick embryology program can be used with writing, by keeping diaries, by reading different storybooks, or it can deal with math in regards to calculating weight loss or percent hatches. And we can also have it with science with the development of that chick. All these things play into a teacher's view of what a successful project is. Along the way, we need to deal with preparation. To be successful, you have to prepare. The first thing in preparation is, when are you going to do a project? Schedule a date for the project and try to avoid holidays or the spring break, anything that takes away from the project or requires the teacher or someone to maintain the situation while no one is there. In Kentucky, we have testing weeks. We know we need to avoid those because we can't have extra people in the school or activities. How do we make sure we avoid those testing dates and do the activities we need to do, but also honor their request to keep visitors out of their schools during testing periods? Also know what else is scheduled. From experience, I've had weeks where I've scheduled the chick incubation project at the same time as Earth Day. There was multiple activities at the school, and it was conflicting times and hard to do the whole program when you have a major program that is occurring at the same time. I strongly encourage you to meet with the teacher, understand and discuss with the teacher what the expectations they have for the project. You ask the teacher to share their curriculum and then share your curriculum and see how it fits together. And while you're meeting with the teacher, pick a location within the school to have the incubator. With a lot of the energy efficiencies, sometimes we have electric outlets that are turned off. Sometimes we have lower temperatures at the night and weekends. So all those things play into effect. So picking a good location that can be the incubator stay put is very important. At the same time, it may be a good time to bring in the equipment and to review the operations of the equipment. This is a less stressful than doing it when we're trying to have chicks in the incubator or eggs in the incubator. Review the operations of the equipment. Have the teacher be familiar with the equipment before you start the project. As we prepare, we need to find a source of fertile eggs, and that should be a reliable source where you expect good results and have high level of fertility and hatchability. Plan on where the chicks will go ahead of when you have the project in the school. Have someone commit to take the chicks. We tried to discourage people within the classroom, the students or their parents, from taking the chicks that are hatched in the classroom because of the possibilities of conflicts of interest or competition between the students for the chicks. Review the daily schedule of what's going to happen as the chick incubation project occurs, what needs to be done in regards to checking temperatures, humidity, or adding water to the incubators. What is the schedule going to be for activities, so that you have a flow sheet that says on this day this needs to be done so that you can have a successful project. One of the things that you need to do is also have a protocol that will be used for delayed hatch chicks or malformed or injured chicks. What is the way that you are going to either terminate the birds, or how are you going to deal it, and who's going to deal with it? That's always good to deal with it ahead of time so that there is no misunderstanding what should be done. At the same time, during preparation, it's time for other equipment that you may need to be pulled together. These could be scales if you're weighing the eggs. It could be thermometers if you're recording temperatures. Any type of equipment that you need during the incubation period, you should start sourcing. This is also a good time to review the sanitation program you're going to be using. What are you going to do about sanitation, about handling the eggs, handling the chicks, handling the incubator, and also have a good time to review the personal hygiene that is part of good safety. You have to remember that incubator is at a temperature that not only develops chicks, but bacteria like to grow in that temperature as well. So we need to be cautious about how we sanitize things, how we prevent cross-contamination, and our own personal hygiene. Let's go over some ideas of things that have worked. One of the things that I like doing in preschools through grade 1 is to do a 1-week program. What it involves is bringing an incubator into the classroom on a Monday along with the eggs, set the eggs to hatch on Wednesday or Thursday. On that Monday, when we bring the eggs in, we do a 30 to 40-minute program. It involves reading a book to the students or of the preschoolers. It involves talking about animals that come from eggs. It explains that the incubator takes the place of the mother hen and the things we need to provide that egg, such as heat, humidity, ventilation, are things that we have to provide for that chick to develop. We also go over the rules of the incubator. My rules are very simple. You do not touch the incubator. You do not go behind the incubator. You do not touch the electrical cord of the incubator. You do not push or shove near the incubator. And we use our inside voice when we're near the incubator. The teachers like that last one. We also explained the date that the eggs were set and that it takes 21 days, and we're on day 18 or 17, depending on when we set them, and how that affects the eggs and why we can see them hatch so soon. We also describe what they will see. The idea of the chick pipping, the idea that the chick comes out of the egg wet and has to dry off, and the idea that the first chicks may be stronger than the remaining chicks and they may form a pecking order or be inquisitive and peck on each other. My example to young children is, do you have a brother or sister? And if you do they pick on you? Well, consider all the chicks to be brothers and sisters, and they're just playing with each other. We also introduced the concept of the fact that the yolk sac will be within inside the chick, and it will provide food for the first 2 to 3 days so that they do not need to be fed at the first few days that they're hatched. So all these things allow for a program to be put in place that fits the inquisitiveness of the children, but also scans a very short time frame that matches their attention span. In middle school, we may do the 21 days because they need to be more involved in it. We will do temperature and humidity recording, so they do have responsibilities for measuring and taking things about temperature. One of the things we can do is weigh the eggs and measure the weight loss, which is the water loss from the eggs. Another activity that can be planned is to candle. This is particularly effective during week 2 of incubation, when you can see the blood vessels and you can see the development of the chick as the days go by. This is also a good time to start a diary on the development of the chick. Middle school is a good time to introduce the nutrition of the egg, the various nutrients in an egg, and how they relate to the developing chick. So one of the things that examples we would use is cholesterol. Cholesterol is a requirement for cell membranes and the nervous system and the brain. So that's why it's in an egg. Why are some of the vitamins there? This is a unique opportunity to talk about how everything has to be in the egg for a chick to develop. There is no connection to the mother to transfer nutrients. So it's very important to stress how that complete nutrition is in the egg. It also fits in a life cycle as we talk about reproduction and the operation of the life cycle in regards to birds. And it's also a nice thing to talk about the anatomy on a day-to-day basis based on the day of incubation. What type of systems are starting? What's happening? What are you seeing with the chick embryo? This can be done with pictures or it can be done by description. All these things will keep the attention of the middle schoolers. High schoolers have to be given responsibility for the project. They need to take responsibility of the project for them to be interested in it. They should be able to operate the incubators. They should be able to add water to the incubators. They should be able to monitor temperature. Those are the things that they should be able to take responsibility for. One of the things that some people have been successful is using high schoolers to teach others. Students organize the program for lower grades, and they are able to bring that program to those students so that they can teach those students about the incubation program. So they may go to middle schools or elementary schools and bring the incubation project to it. It has a great use in STEM programs. One of the things you can do is look at cardiovascular system development with in the STEM program. During that second week of incubation, when the blood vessels are visible, you can do a lesson by breaking out some eggs and looking at the development of the cardiovascular system and the functions of the cardiovascular system. We can also do experiments. One of the things we can look at is storage of fertile eggs. How does the impact of storage affect hatchability? How does the effect of weight loss change the hatchability of eggs? Does the egg lose weight over time? We can also hatch chicks through these programs to use in agricultural classes or in FFA and 4-H. How can we utilize those chicks for other programs at the same time? Another idea is to create an embryo set and time the embryos as it's developing and create an embryo set that can be used from year to year at the school. One of the other things that can be is that you can use, if a student has a 4-H electrical project or an FFA project or taking a shop class, they can build a display incubator for the school to use. Those incubators would be very effective in enhancing the program. One of the things we've kind of added is diversity. Teaching about diversity by using multiple breeds of chickens in our flocks so that we have an assortment of chicks that are by shape, size, color, so that we can talk about diversity and the start that comes out of an egg. We also can use the black sex-linked cross as a way of talking about parents of different breeds crossing, having offspring, and those offspring being different but same in regards to their activities. So we've kind of added that in there as a lesson that we can add some diversity to the program. As we do these programs and we think about how we want to deal with these programs, we need to be prepared to answer the hard questions. We need to be able to discuss the idea of fertile eggs versus commercial eggs and why we have fertile eggs versus commercial eggs that we buy at the store to eat. We also need to talk about why they don't hatch. What are some of the problems, or why did we not have a chick hatch? Everybody wants all the chicks to hatch, but that's not how it works. Some do not. What are some of the reasons that it will not, such as development or mispositioning of the embryo, those type of things. If you look at broken out embryos, especially with the older children, middle school or high schoolers, expect the abortion question. If you have that embryo out and they see the heartbeat and they wonder what's going to happen, they're going to bring that up and care it there. So be able to deal with it. Be able to deal with disease concerns. What diseases may this occur? What are you doing to prevent disease or cross-contamination with your sanitation program and your personal hygiene programs? Be prepared to deal with concerned parents. Parents may be concerned of the potential for disease. They may be concerned about the use of animals. They may be concerned about the fact that there's an incubator in the classroom and what the kids are seeing. So be prepared to deal with concerned parents. Be able to explain why it's important to use live animals. You know, the best thing we can do for children is to teach them to have a respect for live animals. And this is one of the ways we do it. And be prepared to discuss where the chicks are going when they're done with the incubation project. Handling of chicks is an option with these programs, but we have to make sure that we understand that there is some things we have to worry about in regards to handling chicks. If we're going to handle chicks, one of the things we have to stress is personal hygiene. We have to wash our hands before. We will need to wash our hands after. We need to make sure we do not put our hands or the chick near our mouth, near our nose or our eyes, and that we don't have any cross-contamination. We also have to teach the students how to have care in handling the chick, so that we have the ability to teach them that what is the correct way to handle them and how to properly hold the birds and keep control of them. We have to instill into the children a respect for living creatures, because these are living animals that they're handling. They're not stuffed toys. We need to have them learn to respect that what they're doing, and they need to be able to deal with that animal. Remember, when we bring out those animals, any surfaces they touch will be contaminated, and the contamination of the surfaces need to be dealt with when you're dealing with this. It's always good when we have those chicks. People are going to want to take pictures. Establish a photo policy before you do this. Whether it's you can do this picture, or you can have one picture, or you can't make any student in the picture. Whatever your photo policy is, that's what you need to follow, and make sure that you have control over what's happening. All these kids have cell phones with cameras. You need to be able to establish that photo policy. One thing that I've learned over the years is you count the chicks in the beginning and you count the chicks in the end, so no one can smuggle or steal a chick or try to hide a chick. So always count your chicks in the beginning and at the end. And because you have all these children together and handling things and dealing with animals, make sure there's adequate supervision. This is not a one-person job. Make sure there's a adequate supply of aides or parents to help you when you're doing this portion of the incubation project. If we're going to keep chicks in the classroom, make sure you have proper equipment, then that you can provide feed and water, that you can provide a heat source, and that they have the ability to move towards or away from the heat source and regulate their own body type. If you're going to have chicks in a classroom, have a finite time frame. Is it going to be 2 days? Is it going to be a week? Is it going to be 1 day? But a finite time frame. Anytime we have live animals and we have them exposed in the classroom, personal hygiene is very important, that we wash our hands frequently and that we're dealing with good personal hygiene. Make sure that you provide clean bedding to the animals so that you don't have an odor or provide a messy situation. Make sure you have clean bedding and it's changed. Again, when you're changing bedding, make sure you have good personal hygiene. And then you also want security. How are you securing the chicks in that equipment, and who's taking care of them? Who has access to them at off hours? This is why we do it. All these things are mentioned as a way to help you get the most out of a chick incubation program. But the thing that's important is remember that you're dealing with live animals. You need to treat them with respect. And that when we do this in a classroom, we need to meet the expectations of the teachers and of the students. And we need to make sure that it's a good experience for everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, Tony. Some of the questions that were asked, do you have any recommendations on books to read to the kids?
I do have some recommendations. There are some good books out of there. I don't have them off the tip of my head, but I will
Email me them and I'll put them up.
We'll put them up on the site.
Right. And then keeping them in the incubator was one of the questions that was asked.
One of the questions that is asked is, what about keeping the animals in the chicks in a huvabator or small incubator for 2 or 3 days? That's probably not the best idea for that. That's where you might want to build yourself a brooder box and take the chicks out as they're hatching.
Or get a display incubator like this one.
Or build yourself or get yourself a display incubator.
And one of the things was method of euthanasia.
With euthanasia, either it's going to be inert gas such as carbon dioxide and doing expose them to gas, or cervical dislocation. Whichever way you do it, you should seek proper training on it so that the animal doesn't suffer. Or if you can't do it, make sure that someone else that's trained does it.
And don't leave it to the teacher to.
Don't expect the teacher to do that. So it's one of those things where if you do have malformed animals or injured animals, remove them out of the classroom as soon as possible or out of the display and deal with them in a humane manner.
Okay. Thank you very much. That was very informative, and I'll get the recording up shortly. Thank you.